Hi, for those that don't know me, I'm Virginia Walton and I'm an executive coach. I help corporate women continue to optimize their productivity and still find time for self care so they can avoid burnout. Um, Prior to starting my coaching practice, I spent 24 years in the banking and finance industry. I worked my way up from teller at a small community bank to senior vice president of a $27 billion bank by the time I was 38. It wasn't fancy degrees and family connections that got me there. It was hard work. So I know what it takes, and I know how easy it is to lose track of taking care of ourselves and the price that we can pay if we don't. So that's what really has inspired me to become a coach and help others continue to have success, even more success than I've had, but hopefully not at the cost that they could be paying in terms of their health and their own well-being. So, with that, today's topic is how many things can you say yes to before burning out? Tough question, right? And the answer is different for everybody. The reason is women, we're caregivers. It's in our nature. You know, we see a need, we want to satisfy it. I actually saw such a great example this week. I was helping another coach at field hockey practice, and I was working with this 11-year-old girl who'd never played before, but wants to be goalie and is gravitating towards it. So I'm working with her one-on-one, and she needs to work. We only get an hour and a half cut 2 days a week. Well, her coach's 3-year-old daughter started to cry. And this 11-year-old took off her helmet and walked away from what we were doing, which was a priority to her, to try to soothe this child. She offered her a hug, to sing, to dance. She just kept trying. She saw somebody hurting and she wanted to make it stop, right? What a great example of it's just in our need. We see something that needs to be taken care of, and we do. I know personally, I always seem to be the one cleaning up at parties or events. Like, oh, it's got to get done. Let me just do it. But that can come at a cost, right? Are you the person in your office that gets it done? You know, when there's a tight deadline, people know you're going to meet the deadline. Yeah, you're my people. I've been there. And at first, when my superiors viewed me as the one who gets shit done, I was flattered. And I'll admit, it paid off. You know, there were opportunities presented to me for high-profile projects that, because they were important and these were going to be examined by regulators, they needed somebody who's going to get it done. And it advanced my career. I'm not going to lie. So if you are a person that gets it done, great. Keep doing that. But don't say yes to everything, right? At some point, we talk about climbing the corporate ladder. It's really more of a pyramid, right? There are a lot more seats down here than near the top. So yeah, that getting things done attitude, and I may not know how to do it, but I'm going to figure it out and it's going to be done well and it's going to be done on time, moved me up. And I'm grateful for that drive, that work ethic. But then you get to a point where there's not as many opportunities, or the opportunities to move up come a lot slower because you need somebody to retire or move to another organization because there's less chairs, right? Pyramid. There's not the same number of rungs as you move up. The problem is with being known as somebody who gets things done, you're going to have colleagues that don't have that drive. And so things will come your way that might not be your responsibility. So if you've gotten to that point where now it's not so much about advancing my career. It's not going to help me get to the next promotion. It's not going to give me a new skill set. It's not going to get me more visibility. It's probably just going to piss me off because it's not my responsibility. It's somebody else. That's when you got to stop and think, And by the time you've moved up to a certain point, you can probably stand a little bit more firm, right? Because your superiors are going to come to you, whether they're your immediate manager or maybe another executive, because this needs to get done and they know you'll get it done. But what's in it for you if it's not in your core responsibilities? Stop and ask. Just like, right, it's back to school time. Some have been in school for a few weeks. Some are going back today or next week. You know, organizations that couldn't do anything last year because maybe you didn't have sports or you couldn't sell concessions at sports, you know, they're ramping back up, right? The PTO, youth sports, you know, the coaches need help. They need somebody to work the concession stand, organizing senior night or whatever. Project graduation, they're all kicking in, and they're going to be coming to the people who get things done, right? That's the ugly truth. Those of us that get things done at work, it's in our core. We take it elsewhere with us, right? We take it to our community organizations, our family, right? You're the one that gets things done, so you're the one that gets asked. So, as all these requests start to come up, now's a really good time to kind of apply some new approaches. If you were like, oh my God, I can't do this. I was exhausted, you know, when we lived like this before. So, you know, when these things come up, don't immediately say yes, right? Think about it. My community is very important to me. If you know me, you know I love the town of Belvedere, New Jersey, right? I give a lot to it and try to do as much as I can for it. But I'm one person. We have this major community event, and it's always the weekend after Labor Day. Couldn't really have it last year. So there was concern if we didn't have it again this year that, you know, do we lose that kind of everybody knows there's an event that weekend? So, a group of us were called to see, hey, the team that was, for a variety of personal and very good personal reasons, not just because, I don't want to do it. I mean, some left the country, some had family to care for, all really good reasons. But there was really nobody left. And they're like, listen, this is a group of people who do a lot for our community. Could you do a little more if we kind of chunk it up and everybody gets a piece? Okay. It's not quite the way it's burning out. So I'm sharing this as an example when something comes to you as another ask because you're a get things done person. Here's what this experience the last couple months has prompted me to realize and want to share, because I also realized as I thought about this, I saw this in corporate too. So before you say yes, pause, right? Seriously. And I don't mean just take a deep breath. Okay, I can do this. I mean, say, let me check my calendar. Let me check what other things, deadlines I have before I say yes. You can even do it like, I'm pretty sure, but I need to check just a couple things before I can completely commit. So let me get back to you later today, tomorrow, whatever, the end of the week, whatever time you need. You didn't say no. You didn't say yes. You said, let me check. Okay. You define how long it is or based on the situation that you need to take. But take that time. Don't immediately. We live in a world where we feel like we have to answer everything right now. Between text messages and instant messages and, I don't know, now Facebook will come into your house and we have, you know, emails, whatever. We all feel like we have to do it right now, right now, right now. You don't. Just because the technology lets it arrive a lot faster than putting a stamp on it and putting it in the mail or the Pony Express doesn't mean you have to respond immediately. Take a few minutes, okay? Or days, whatever you need and the circumstance allows. 1, realize whether it's work or community group, however many people are sitting at the table saying, yeah, this is great, we support you, blah, blah, blah. Anticipate they're not all going to be sitting there when it comes time to get the work done. You know, the example I shared at this event, there were 10 of us that were brought together. There's 4 of us working. Now, I'm not saying you're always going to lose more than 50%, but even when I ran big projects at work and we'd have status meetings, I'd have people who come and be like, hey, where are you with this? And they'd be like, what? I don't know what that is. What am I supposed to do? Or, oh, I forgot. Or, oh, I have a conflict. I can't even come to the meeting. And then they don't send you an update. It happens, right? They're not going to be as dependable and as prompt to meet their deadlines as you are. That's why you're the one known as a get it done person. So, as you take that pause, think about, look at who's the team. Am I going to be able to do this with whatever the fraction you think is realistic? That's the next thing. Be realistic with yourself. You're one person. You have multiple demands on you. How much can you really do? Now, yeah, sometimes at work, you're not going to get a choice. It's going to be a give. But there are going to be times where it is a choice. As I share back, I had this opportunity to resolve a matter that our regulators wanted. It was kind of an ask. I really could have said to my boss, I go, I'm not sure I really can do that. I'd love the opportunity, but I'm not sure. And they probably would have found somebody else. But where I was at that time, the first thing I did was a goal check. This was important to my career goals and aspirations. This was giving me an opportunity to show a skill set that my boss said, if you can't demonstrate this, you can't move ahead. It aligned with my goals. While maybe my confidence in my own skill set wasn't there, my confidence in my ability to figure it out and get it done, even if it was by myself, was there. Yep, I got this. Now, if that was 5 years later where I had excelled and it was now more of my peer coming to me rather than, this guy is technically my superior and I'm picking up the slack for him, but now we're peers, I might have pushed back a little bit, saying, listen, I've got a full plate already. How about he does his work? I'll offer some support, but I'm not carrying him, right? Again, it depends upon where you are in the circumstances. Sometimes you're not going to be able to say no. Sometimes your boss is going to say, figure this out. You need to get it done. Well, that's where you're going to work on delegating. And we'll talk about that another day. So take a pause. Check. Can you do it with less resources than you think or you're really going to have looking at the table? Does it align with your goals? Right? The example I shared, that aligned with my career goals. Hell yeah. I'm moving forward. This is what I need to get up that rung. I'm going to do it. I'm going to figure it out. If it didn't, then maybe not. Does it align with my values? Now that may not be so much at work, but in community, right? And in your non-work commitments. I know a woman who's passionate, extremely passionate about helping the homeless. So of course she's going to find the time to support that effort. But there may be some other cause that isn't as needed to her, right? I agreed to help with this event because I know it's important to my town and my town is important to me. That's a core value for me. I said yes. I wish I had realized there'd be a lot less people, but okay. Lessons learned. And now you can learn from my, should have thought about that. So does it align with your values? Now, had somebody come to me and say, listen, we need somebody to take over and run the, boys basketball program. That's not as important in my values. So I probably would have been like, you know what, I really don't have time. I don't, maybe I can do a little bit, but I can't lead it. I can share some ideas, whatever. Not as important. It's not aligning with my values. Not that I don't think boys basketball is in program or every other cause is good. There's a lot of great causes and a lot of great organizations. That doesn't mean you have to support everyone. Maybe that's one you just write a check. Or, say, hey, I'll share with my network. That's all I can do. Because it's not core to my values. Then here's the last one. And this is the hard one. Be realistic with yourself. Seriously. Say, how much time is this going to take? What is it going to distract me from? Am I willing to set these things back? Set them aside. What's the cost of doing that? I run in this business. I actually also have a small farm too that I run. So shifting my time to this community event has meant that some of the other things that I'm responsible for, I've had to move down on the list. That was a choice. Now I'm grateful. I was in a position, I said, okay, I can slow the brakes on these couple of other things and it's not going to be detrimental. But I also know and acknowledge and recognize there's a cost with that. So really, in that window of time you've given yourself, say, can I afford this? Time is money. If you have to think about it in terms of dollar and cents, it's almost like when you look at your checkbook. You know, we've all probably had periods in our lives, regardless of what your financial circumstances is, where you looked and you're like, ooh, it's a little less than I really feel comfortable with. So before you say yes, think about your time. And if you write that check, I feel like I'm aging myself. Probably not everybody even writes checks anymore. But before you take that debit out of your account to say, yeah, I'm going to give you this time, what's it leave? Is that below the cushion you want to keep? Is that where you get uncomfortable? And by uncomfortable, right? We all like to have a little nest in case something happens, right? We strive to not be living paycheck to paycheck. I've been there. That's an awful feeling. When you go to say yes, think about it in terms of, what am I taking out of my account? You only have so much time and energy. Are you going to leave yourself overdrawn? Because if you are, should you really say yes? I know that's tough. It is really hard to change that. But the first step is, before you immediately say yes to one more thing, especially as all these requests are going to start to hit, stop and say, let me check. Let me check. And do that. Do you have enough in your balance to make the withdrawal? Do you have enough support? Because that's going to change. If you think you've got 15 people to help you and you're really only going to have 5, that's a bigger withdrawal in your time. Check. Does it align with your values? There are a lot of great efforts and causes, and we want to help everybody. But if it's not one that's core to you, it's okay to say no. You don't have to sacrifice. If it's not going to help you meet your goals professionally, personally, if your goal is for your kid to have an opportunity to play this sport and the only way it happens is if you coach, okay, that aligns to your goals, your values. Check your account. Do you have it? Can you figure it out? Short term, maybe you can power through if it's short term. But don't automatically say yes. Because what's going to happen when you say yes to everything, you're going to get to the point where you're going to say, fuck it. Yeah. I was there about a week ago, busting my butt trying to pull this off. Something I've never done, but it's important. It aligns with my values. And yeah, I'm okay with paying the cost a little bit. And somebody questions something. And I've got about this much left of patience and energy. Because if you don't check and align with these things, what's going to happen is you're going to hit that point where you're just going to be like, F it. And you know what? You're going to burn out. You're going to be so overdrawn in that account that boom, fuck this, I'm done. And that's going to cost you way more in the long run. So let's try to avoid it. Stop. Check. Let me check. You know what? I would love to do that. But the problem is I've got these major projects at work that come due. So I can only commit to do this much. I can't lead it. I can provide a few hours a week of support. And if that's not enough, then say, I'm sorry. That's all I can. Or go, you know what? With everything else I have on my plate, work, family, whatever, I don't have time. I'm sorry. I can't help it all. Maybe next year. Maybe in the spring. Whatever the case may be. You don't want to get to that point where you're done. Especially if it's at work. Because one day, you're just going to lose your shit. I've done that. And it is way harder to recover from that than from a missed deadline. Trust me. So try these simple things. Make it a habit before you say yes of, let me just double check something and I'll get back to you. That was very neutral, right? Practice with me. Let me double check and then I'll get back to you in whatever period of time. So, I hope you found this helpful. If you're like, I get it, I just don't know how to make that habit happen, that's what I'm here for. That's what coaches help you do. Or if you're like, I'm at that bucket point, Virginia, I need some help. Let's connect. Schedule a call. Drop me a comment. Trust me, it's worth it. You're worth it. And as always, if this didn't resonate with you right now, you may have a friend who's on that verge that needs to hear this. So please pass this along. As always, check out my website, virginiawalton.com. Drop me a message. You can text me. My cell phone's there. I won't commit to responding immediately, but I'll get back to you very quickly. So with that, have a good day and be well.